I want to take another look at Gabby here a little bit more on the high ball, kind of from a libero pass here. So it's a good step close. I do like how she's getting around the side of the ball here, but she still is a lot of forward momentum with the ball, even though she's still going in this direction with her body to hit angle. So you can see from this angle how much of her body is facing into this. So she's really turned her hips, turned her body, turned her perception of the net slightly different to get the attack. So she's really just hitting it straight ahead. But turning your body, turning your hips to the side, and now the net's kind of not straight ahead on you. The net's to an angle. So it's an interesting kind of way of contorting. So you can see how she's finishing there, and the ball goes straight ahead. So an interesting way of contorting your body in midair and facing the angle. So a really good hit, really good attack style. We're gonna go ahead and look at Boscovich next here. Boscovich has one of the best techniques, one of the best hitting techniques in the game here. Let's take a look at her stride. Let's take a look at her toss. I like how she uses her whole body here to toss the ball with. It's very accurate. She's kind of very in control of this wrist cup. She's not just using her fingers. She's kind of rolling the whole back up into one motion. So she's using her body to swing the ball up. Very nice wrist flexion here at the end. A classic four-step approach here. One, you can see the toss as she goes here. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4 with our big drive step. Instantly looking at the ball. So again, the toss is super important on this. Really important on how accurate your toss is, lining up everything. So even if you're not left-handed, I really like to watch left-handed players because it gives you a nice perception of kind of, you don't see left-handers all the time. It's good to study them. And even if you're right-handed, it's nice to see in slow motion if you kind of go over and practice a left-handed hit and you kind of are looking at the nuances of a left-handed player and you kind of reverse engineering it in that direction. You're going to notice that once you try to go over to your right-handed, it's going to be a lot easier. It's kind of working both sides of your brain. It's kind of giving you an analytical side, and if you could do it with your left just barely, you can do it really well with your right. So I had shoulder surgery one time in college, and I was out for a good amount of time, and I had to do everything left-handed. And I was terrible at hitting a volleyball left-handed. I mean, I really couldn't even hit a ball against a wall left-handed. After a little while, I just kept doing it and then really learning. And then when my right arm came back, I was very in touch with my right arm, what it was doing, and my hitting percentage went up significantly, over 100 percentage points from the previous year. I just had a lot more control, a lot of things. So kind of an interesting takeaway from that is just kind of being more in touch with your body and even studying left-handed players. So again, with that, this is Boscovich from Serbia, a young player, 22, 23 years old now, a lot of experience, lots of money being paid. So really good double arm lift. Look how massive this straight is double arm lift here. I mean, this is the hands cup in a little bit. This is perfect. Really long drive step. Foot's open flexion here. This is a nice open heel to toe. Heel to toe, you can see right here. So she's really activating the calf and the soleus muscles of the leg. But I love the stride that she has here. This is a really good push off with this drive foot here. Really far. Look how far she gets that. She goes from there. The next time it hits all the way there, that's like 10 feet difference almost. Not 10 feet, but about, I don't know, maybe 8 feet. From the first time she right contacts it with her right foot, the next time it touches, that's a good 8 feet of space that she can drive to. So this kind of space also, this kind of drive step, really gives yourself a lot of room and a lot of explosiveness, but it also, no matter where the ball is, you can really step in and hit pretty well. I've seen some sets that were bum sets inside that were basically landed in the middle of the court, and she was hitting on the right side, and she stepped closed all the way and attacked a high ball that was drastically inside on the middle of the court. So these steps can really get you to the ball, which we ultimately want to get to the ball perfectly. But I love the great arm lift here. Really good arm drive. So this is also perfect timing here. So you want the arms to be coming down right before the break foot lands. So you're putting extra force. So right now you can see all this energy coming down, and it's putting all this force, extra force down on this leg. So that's her breakage leg, her stopper leg. So you can see it comes through this zone down. It's parallel. All her arms are parallel right before this hits, so it puts way more energy into that leg, and it's building up on this quad here. And now the legs are getting overloaded with a lot more force than they would usually get loaded if you didn't use your arms. So that's creating more energy, more explosiveness, more drive, more push into the ground. So rebound effect. I really like her double arm lift here, her actual loading phase here, because it's kind of an X. I kind of do this actually. It's a really beautiful arm swing, but with an X also. So what it does, what I mean X is, her offhand doesn't just go straight up like this. Her offhand comes in and her other hand like this. So if you looked on top view, you'd see it almost looks like an X if you pause it. So you see that here it's kind of a swimming motion. So this comes in, her offhand come in, and then when she jumps, it opens up and then swings out. So it swings out to create more momentum. See how this is coming out like this? So it doesn't go very vertically high. Matt Anderson actually does this a lot. Matt Anderson from USA player does this. They don't go necessarily straight up with this arm. They bring it into an X, and then it gets transitioned out and then back in for extra velocity. There, you can see it right here. There, see how it's on contact there? She's bringing it back in. But a little bit more before that. So this is the loading cycle here. She's going up. This arm is already going down and around. It's not going vertical up. It's not pinching up like a hinge. It's going back and down. So it's got a nice parallel lines here, starting to naturally separate our hip and starting to curl that back. Now we talked a little bit about hip-shoulder separation, which our hip and our shoulders now are separated, causing this nice natural leg bend, but this comes from a nice natural, if you really go heel to toe really well, and you're really pushing off on those calves, you're gripping the ground with your hamstrings. So right now, you have a lot of, right there, you have a lot of grip on your hamstring here. So it's curling up naturally with that hamstring, curling up naturally with your hamstring. So I didn't talk too much about before the other players and their heel to toe footwork, but the heel to toe footwork is very important because you're really pushing the heel into the ground, which is creating that force, and then your forward flexion of your toes, and then it's gripping on those toes. And once you push, even you can do this as an experiment just by yourself, get on your toes and grip back, you're going to notice your hamstrings are going to start firing. And this is going to cause a lot of good jump too. So right here you can see, right here, this curling of that hamstring automatically contracts this hamstring leg. This right here, this curling of the toe on the top of the toe, really full flexion there. You can see that foot really starts to cause this to bend too. So you're kind of using both things. You're twisting your hips, that's activating the lower back, and you're pushing off with the toes. That really curls the hamstring naturally. That's why you get this natural break here. And then, of course, into our perfect bow. The whole body is a big bow here. Perfect bow. Now the timing is to attack it to release that bow. That timing is, you want to time that as your arm is all the way back so it doesn't just start and stop. You want to slowly bring that arm back and use that momentum. So she uses that momentum really well. She doesn't stop and start her arm. You can see from this video, I'm going to play it right here. The arm never really starts and stops. It's all one fluid chain, right? Fluid chain. Now she's at her peak bow. Peak bow, curled, elbows all the way back. Now she's starting that's the load phase. Now the acceleration phase begins. And we're releasing that bow so the energy gets pushed forward. Every good player makes about a 90-degree angle here. That arm naturally comes back over the head and rotates, flips around so it's that ball and socket joint is rotating completely. And this bone in your elbow right here should always be above your head, allowing that contact to get on the top of the ball and then rotating on top. So there's that perfect 90 degrees angle, elbow drive. Now we've straightened out. Look how straight we are with the body here. So it's that bow coiling. Let's see, before it was coiled, now it's flattened, and now it's ricocheted that way. So we want to go from this bow to a straight. This is where the tension gets released, and then it gets transitioned out that direction, as we can see here. Here, see, there we go. So there we go, that phase. Again here, coiled loading phase, acceleration phase here. That's when maximum velocity is being reached at its peak. And then the recoil phase. The recoil phase where the ball's already being contacted, but you're driving it and your body's moving forward, your back's a little bit, and so everything is peaked right here. This is where the maximum energy gets put into the ball and maximum height. You don't want to be down, so this is really good reach. And then the forward motion. And you can see our arm goes through again too. Great swing. So one more time, full speed. Again with the toss here, using the whole body for the toss so it's accurate. Big step off, 4 steps. Putting that heel to toe motion so it's gripping the hamstring. Then a natural break, a beautiful arm with a cross X load. And it's all a single motion. Okay, we got Robinson right here. This is what we're going to focus on. Robinson, the outside hitter for Fenerbahce. She's also the USA player. That's what we're going to worry about. This is an outside set right here. We're not going to worry about this so much. This girl gets on it pretty good. Inside set, she breaks her arm down pretty good too. She's pulling back, but it's a fast set, so she doesn't really get a whole lot on it, and she's coming down as she hits. You can see her falling down. Good blocking move by the middle. Weighted press. Gets through. Good touch by Mikhailovic. Full set, and here comes Robinson. Here's what we're focusing on. Robinson's going to come from this corner here. She does a very good step close, and let's take a look at what she does. Okay, so we're looking at here. Here she comes. Right. Again, those hands are a lot of force coming in right before this step, before her left step. You can see her left step's there. But her force, everything's going down, everything's forcefully there, and then she rebounds. Then she puts her break foot in there. The hands are coming up at a good angle, and she instantly breaks. She's got a good natural break here. I really like her arm swing too. So she's just like Mikhailovic. She kind of creates that natural breakage moment. She's got the standard straight left arm. She doesn't do it. She doesn't do the X. She just goes up traditionally with the left, and then she pulls really well. She's really reaching. Really like the arm swing here. I'm going to zoom in really quick. It just looks dangerous. It looks a lot of positive motion. If you run it full speed right here, it looks like a lot of motion. Looks like a lot of things. But if you really break it down slowly, it's just simple. Go up, pulling back, getting into this nice open hip shoulder separation where there's these straight lines, and then the hip, and then the bow. Really bowed right here. This is perfect. Look how far the arms goes back naturally. The legs are kicked. Really big C bow. '90-degree angle here again. Leading in front, perfect out in front. And then coils forward. So we can see again, we can see pulling back. C. Forward. Finished. Take a look full speed again. Great step close. Look how far her front foot is breaking, so that way she can fly. Look where she takes off from. See where she takes off from there. And she lands there. So let's take off. So again, all great players are jumping and taking off forward. Fantastic. Okay, we got one of the American players here. This is really a Boskovic video. She's going to be hitting here, but this is a really quick set. It's a really fast little play. It's an outside hitter for US. I forget her name. but you can see a classic wedge kind of arm swinger, just kind of creating a triangle wedge. So here's the triangle. Do this a little better. There you go. This is the triangle wedge. Classic left arm up. Classic triangle down. So this kind of creates a lot of over-the-top motion. Doesn't create much side motion. Puts the ball straight forward and back. But it's also a very quick load. And it's also just showing you the difference. See how the arm raises up very fast? Arm just goes up. Up. Doesn't go back very much. It kind of just goes behind the ear. So this is a different type of motion. This is a different type of arm swing. Not necessarily bad or worse, just different. But here's what we're looking at here. A lot of heat. So she's hitting this ball mid-court, 15-foot line, and putting so much speed on it that they can't even dig it, or they just look stunned. I mean, she hits it so hard they look stunned, and she's hitting it from that far back. That's not very good defense. But look at this set. I love this set here. So a lot of things are happening here. One, libero gets underneath it and then launches it. This is probably the hardest set in the whole book here. I mean, we're talking 25 feet all the way over her head. And she does a couple things interesting. So she's really waiting behind the ball. She's really watching it too. You can really tell she's staying way behind the ball. Really behind the ball here. She locates it. And she doesn't take such a big double arm lift. You can kind of see that's not her natural one, right? But she's just shortening it up because of how ridiculous the set is. Such a high set, such an interesting play. But now that her approach, she's got a new approach, she's lined up everything. Same kind of footwork. And now you can really see from this angle, this is what I'm talking about with an X. There, you see this X motion right here. The arms cross right there. So you got the arms here and the arm there. So this is the X motion, and it's kind of a swimming motion. So the arm comes from here and then comes around again. So it goes, let's just take a look at her right hand, which is her offhand. So this would be your left-handed if you're right-handed. Opens up. That actually creates some forward drive. Again, Matt Anderson is really interesting to watch. He does this a lot. So I encourage you to check him out. Again, though, nice C shape right there with the arm. There we go. There we go. See? Flattens out really well. There's that classic chest elbow lead. Keeping the ball in front, on top of it. Offhand's a good guide hand now here. It's coming back. So you're getting a lot of energy, rebounding. Perfect. You notice the head doesn't tilt so much after contact. The head, during contact, the head's still. The head's still, but the body, the back, the shoulders, the hips, those are what rotates. So again here, good slow motion. It looks like there's a lot going on when you play at normal speed because it's so smooth and it's so fast. But when you really break this down slowly, you can see it's not that complex of a motion. This is a pretty standard from here to there. That's pretty standard volleyball. Most players do this naturally because they're loose, they can stretch out, They contacted high. Most players can get that kind of elasticity going. But the loading phase here, the steps, that's really unique and really important. Not really unique, but a trait of great players, good players even. Here we go again. Great one-handed dig, transition ball to Boskovic. Puts the hammer down. So this is kind of you saw a set that was from the back row. Now let's see a transition set on the front row here. So once the setter goes one-handed, it's a pretty obvious back dump. This libero is pretty fast. She's in an interesting position, but she can get there pretty quickly because she's fast. So great left arm. Made it a little bit harder than it should have been, but you know. Good bump set. Let's just play it one more time full. Absolute hammer. All right, so let's take a look at Boskovic again here. Coming through again, the hands are down. The hands are down, putting energy right before that last step close. So down there, and then you can see the foot's off the ground. Foot's off the ground. But the force, everything's being pushed into that last foot. There you go. Everything's being pushed in that last foot down. Now her arm swing's already naturally starting to break. She does the X. Perfect C shape. You can see from this angle how ridiculous this C-shaped bow is. Then she's gotten pretty straight ball over her hitting shoulder in front, and then coils at the end. So again, really good hip shoulder separation, really nice elasticity and height. Then that arm follows through really nice here there. Nice soft landing with the knees too even. Comes down naturally. Absolute tattoos this ball. Let's go one more time naturally here. And you can see the arm it loads up and then flings through it. You can see how much acceleration the arm gets, how fast it flies through, right? So you can see that it's going up, boom. And that's caused by all this built up energy. So all this built up energy, and then all of a sudden is released so fast through this phase. So this is obviously the acceleration phase. Everybody does this. Everybody has this this is not uncommon for anybody. But the loading phase is what kind of builds up that process of speed. And again, that loading phase also depends on what timing she has on the ball, how long it takes for her to hit the ball. Again, defense, to know the hitter, to realize what she's doing. All these factors come into play. See one more time, live speed. Load, bam, and then see how fast that arm flies through. But the arm flies through fast just because of how well she's loaded it up and how much kinetic energy she's produced. Even with the ground force translates into the back translates into the shoulders, everything. It's a big chain. So it looks like it's a kind of and then that's how she gets on top of it and hits it so hard, so. Again, beautiful swing. Hope you guys enjoyed this. This is really a lot of information. It's just meant to help defensively too. Things to look for on different players. So you're really researching those different players, seeing those different players, and you're going to notice, if you really take a look at this, how many different types of arm swings. Everyone's just a little bit unique. Everyone's a little bit different. So again, this is kind of for hitting mechanics, for defense, And if you're, trying to scout against these players and scout against if you're going to play them and different players in general, this is kind of a kind of ways to teach yourself and pick up these things yourself, because you're going to be the one playing, right? Coaches can give you all these information and coaches can write up good game plans, but it really does come down to you on the court. So if you're not accessing this information and you're not understanding what's going on, it's almost kind of pointless, right? That's coaches' jobs, is to make you as informed as possible. But if you're, unaware of what's going on and you can't really see what's going on, and you kind of don't understand the concepts of these things, then it's not going to be as effective for you. So I hope this video just kind of gives a little bit of an insight and kind of opens up your mind a little bit, and maybe you notice something before you didn't really notice, and the game kind of gets a little bit more interesting also. And kind of, for me, it's an endless kind of thing, because I've seen so many players and each of them have their own little unique, and there's lots of ways of succeeding in this sport. So as you can see, all these players that you've seen kind of hit a little bit differently, and they all hit the ball very hard, but they all have a lot of really good things in common, right? Those feet, the step close, the amount of bowage they can make their whole body into, and then how they accelerate into the swing, and then they follow through, everything like that. So these are some really big key steps if you're a hitter, if you want to learn from this, but also, like I said, most importantly, defenders, and learning how to, read these players so that when you see them, it's not overwhelming to you. You're kind of used to their motion, and then you can kind of predict what they're going to do, and you can kind of pick up what they're going to do. So I really do, guys, hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you guys soon. See you guys later.